Okay, we're live. Welcome everybody to the March meeting. I've been absent the past couple of meetings. It's a shame. Welcome to all of our GoToWebinar attendees online. So happy you can all join us. Make your way to your seats when you get a chance. We got plenty of pizza and water and soda. So everybody, there's a 3-slice minimum tonight. You have to have 3 slices. There's going to be way too much left over, and we can't freeze dry it or anything like that. So please have some pizza. So we're here. We have some good content tonight, some good announcements. This is a joint meeting between the Revit User Group and the New York City BIM Group. I'm kind of running both of them. I'm wondering why we have some weird mic issues here. Check. We'll get it going at some point. All right, don't breathe. Fantastic. Hopefully you can hear me and this won't be too annoying throughout the evening. So the GoToWebinar attendees, make sure that you click the arrow in the Grab tab to open and close the panel. Set your audio options. Choose whether you want to use the phone or the microphone. Try not to use both. You'll get an echo probably. You're in listen-only mode, so if you have a question for us, just type it in the question panel, and we'll try our best to answer them as expeditiously as possible. And we're not using the raise the hand feature, so don't worry about that. A little bit about our group. See some new faces here tonight. Anybody in their first meeting tonight? Great. Anybody here from the Metro BIM group for the first time? One? No, you don't count. I think this is part of every group. It's great. We have over 770 members, at least last we checked. I think this was probably last month's number, but it's a pretty robust group. We've been meeting here since 2009, and the group is sponsored by, the Revit User Group, that is, sponsored by 4 of the local Autodesk value-added resellers. And I'm really getting aggravated with this microphone situation. Each one of these sponsors takes turns, so they sponsor basically 3 meetings a year. Tonight's sponsor is Microdesk. Do we have any reps from Microdesk in the room? Hi. How you doing? Thank you. They provided the food and the drinks for us. Thank you very much. I am the president of the group, although I'm after about 6 years of running this thing, I think I'm just about ready to take a little bit of an early retirement and hand it over to one of my VPs. So we're going to be discussing that, and if all the VPs want to be president, we'll probably put it up for a vote unless one person steps up and takes the reins. So it's good. The Metro BIM group is more of a Building Smart Alliance focus group. We're still trying to figure out all what that exactly means for right now. But that has over 600 registered members, and we're trying to get that back in sync and do some joint events with the Revit User Group and have some separate events around the city. Just a quick word about Pratt. They still, I believe, offer the 10% discount to the Revit User Group members. Again, the instructions for getting that are on the Meetup website. See if we can get it to kick in. I wonder if this one works any better. Is that better? Let's see if we can do it on the right. You might be stuck on the right side, Ken, tonight. RCAT, again, thanks to Bill at RCAT for providing our new insurance coverage for Pratt. They still provide the space for free. We just have to pay for insurance. And RCAT, Bill, was gracious enough to provide that for us, so we thank him continuously. Again, if you want to check out their BIM content, it's pretty good stuff, I have to say. And if you have any comments, that's all Bill asks of our group, is if you use their stuff and you have comments on the content, just send Bill an email. Finally, some other events that are coming up. I think I mentioned these last time we spoke. They're still upcoming, still highly valuable. The next closest one is the AGC BIMForum in April in San Antonio. I'm going to be there. I highly recommend it. Not that expensive. It's only a day and a half event. It's great stuff. All real-world case study presenters, so good stuff. AIA National's coming up in D.C., so if you haven't been to an AIA convention, it's close enough, I think, that you don't have to pay for a flight to get down there, so good opportunity there. I'm going to be doing a panel presentation. And Revit Technology Conference in Georgia. That's the one that started in Australia, and then they started up a North American chapter. They did it in California last year, and now they're doing it in Georgia this year for the North American part. So that registration for all these things are open right now. So if you need to sign up, go do it now. All right, we had a survey. Anybody in the room fill out our web survey? One person. Okay, so that'll be interesting pulling the drawing for the winner of the prize tonight. We had 95 responses, and you know, obviously most were from the New York area, but we had people from Alaska and Hawaii, I believe, and Vancouver. You know, so the reach of this group is beyond the immediate region, so we're pretty proud of that. Just some stats from that I thought were interesting. 67% of the respondents, now if this is an accurate cross-section, it might be, 67% architects, 16% combined engineering disciplines, 6% builders, 0 owners and facility operators at least responded to the survey. So not surprising for the Revit User Group, but this was not a Metro BIM thing. We asked about what kind of content you like. And the good thing was that all of the like responses were in the positive. They were all over 50%. But it seems like the 2 most liked events were Revit training and case studies. A little bit lower on other software training, roundtable discussions, and product demos. So we're going to obviously take that into consideration. We asked just general statements about your least favorite meeting. There weren't a lot of people said they didn't have any. They were all good. A couple of them, you know, had varying opinions. One person said, I have only attended meetings that had topics interesting to me, which I thought was an interesting comment because, you know, just by looking at a topic heading, you're going to make a judgment on whether you come or not. And I don't know if that really is a good definition of a community, a user group. But, you know, you're entitled to your opinion. You don't have to come to everyone, but a lot of times you can be surprised at the content, you know, despite the title and the description. So I think hopefully tonight is going to be one of them. I think it is, because knowing Ken and the topic at hand, it's to me at least, to be really interesting. So some of the suggested improvements, we got a ton of good stuff. I excerpted a few ones that I thought were interesting. More MEP-based events. Do we have any engineers here today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so. Good, good, good. You know, I know it's heavily architecture. We're trying to do more and more MEP things. We did a few last year. We're going to try and do much more this year. More content, fewer slides. Content, I took that, I shortened that one. It was really about showing more software and less slides, which is okay. That's when we do that type of presentation, we realize that we're going to try to do a heavier focus on that. Don't be an Autodesk cheerleader. We try not to be. I mean, you know, I'm sure we got maybe, you know, Ken is definitely not an Autodesk cheerleader, although he works for Autodesk, but he's, I think, far from what I would consider a cheerleader. You know, he's a realist. He comes from the construction industry, and you'll see that. We try not to be, so we're going to obviously keep an eye on what we talk about as far as that. A few people asked about, you know, wouldn't it be nice to have jobs listings? Now, I don't know if anybody is aware, but we do have a career corner set up in our discussion boards. It's, you know, in working with a lot of our sponsors have their own placement and recruiting opportunities and things like that, and from time to time it's been, you know, do we want to post here? We'd rather not. We just want to keep it in one place. So, you know, it's there. If you want to put in, you know, I'm looking for a job, you're more than welcome to put a posting in there, and then, you know, see, you know, most of the members of the group get a digest email that says, here's, you know, meet a discussion board update. So if somebody that has a job is watching that, it might help. So I just wanted to point out that we have it. After meeting drinks, Flannery's right across 7th Avenue is where we usually are, so that does happen in case we don't officially invite everybody. Doesn't always officially have, it's not official, but you know, the comment there was extended to say we'd love to kind of get, you know, informal networking, let's talk about other issues. More than happy to do that. Even if some other people in the group want to step up and say, hey, you know, I love social stuff, and I'll go set up informal in-between meetings, you know, that we say, all right, you know, the midpoint between the monthly meetings, we're going to have an informal thing at this bar, and it's just nothing formal. We're just going to meet there, and that's fine by me. Different locations. I mean, you know, this is a pretty convenient space. It's centrally located. Obviously, has enough room to fit us all. But I'm certainly open if anybody has suggestions that are free. That always seems to be the catch there. I did research many years ago into, you know, getting actual conference rooms at hotels, and they run like $2,000 for a 2-hour meeting. So if anybody wants to pony up like a $20, $50 membership fee, we could probably start doing that stuff, but I'm going to bet that that's not what we were intending. And the last thing, making the recordings easier to find. I know I started putting the videos on Vimeo. I created a user group on Vimeo, but apparently that's not so easy to find. I'm going to start doing stuff on YouTube. The default place is in the message boards, the meetup site, discussion boards. There's a thread called monthly meetings, and that's where I put every video, and I think the top link has the link to the Vimeo site, so it's there, just so everybody knows. We'll try to do a better job of maybe broadcasting that on a regular basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Sean has done not on the meetup, but if you go to nyc-rug.com.
Yep.
Instead of directly forwarding to the meetup site, you have 4 choices: Meetup, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Vimeo.
Oh, he's got Vimeo on that. Okay. All right. So for those of you in the webinar, Sean McDonald had set up a kind of a landing page for the group called NYC-RUG.com. It used to automatically just direct you to Meetup, but now it's got kind of a landing page where you can click the Facebook site, the LinkedIn site, the Meetup site, or Vimeo. So that's a good suggestion there. So some overall topic suggestions. As you can see, we've done Vasari. Apparently people like that. We want to do more of it. Revit for construction documents. The CM stuff, we've done a couple of those. Family creation is, I found a video. Has anybody seen the video that I posted from 2006 with Steve Stafford? Dug up an old DVD that we had recorded back at the lobby when we had the meetings at the lobby of SOM's office. And good stuff, but it's old. I mean, it's like Revit Building 8 or something like that. So I think we're overdue to have like a family creation lab. We'll try to get Steve Stafford in to do that again because he's like one of the bestest at family creation, so that's good. Data management in Revit, good topic. Cross-platform workflows. These are things that we've kind of hit on in prior meetings, but it's interesting that they're being suggested again, either by new members or just that they're good and they want to hear it more again. Existing buildings. Somebody put in Onuma BIMStorm. That might be an interesting little joint event to have Kimon come in and do a little demo of that. So with that, the prize for participating in the group was Microsoft Resources was providing a license of Ideate BIM Explorer, Ideate Explorer. And what did I do in my list? What I did was I took the out of the 95 respondents, we had 45 people that were non-staff members that had provided their name and email. And we'll do this, I guess, like Kelly Ripa style. Well, I'll ask somebody, a random person in the audience, to pick a number from my randomized list. So it's not in any kind of order. Let's get somebody raise your hand in the far side. Whoever raises their hand first gets to pick the number. Somebody raise your hand. All right, right there. Give me a number 1 to 45. 12. The winner is Robert Spinelli of New York. Is he here in the room, Robert? No, maybe not. So we'll mark that, and Robert wins that copy of Ideate Explorer. So congratulations to Robert, and we thank everybody for participating in this. We hope we do the survey on an annual basis just to get a feedback from everybody on the success of the group. So our upcoming meetings, April 12th, we've got content kind of lined up so far, even beyond our formal bookings at Pratt. April 12th, again, we haven't officially 100% signed on the dotted line with my colleague Amy, talking about lead calculations and using Revit. That's a really good one. She's just kind of making sure that she has everything refined and perfected. May 10th, we're going to have Ifat, and I'm not sure if she's bringing other team members from Perkins and Will to do some case studies, showing what they're up to in the Revit and BIM world. And then we're going to push the what's new in Revit. Can't say what exactly it is, but the next version of Revit at our June meeting, but we don't have a confirmed date for that yet. But that's going to, I think we have Microsol in June to do that, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's correct. So that's about it. So we have AAA credit for this event tonight. The usual things apply. As of the last meeting, I believe, HOK is providing the credit, and they will track the numbers. So you don't have to self-report anymore for that. So just pass around the sign-in sheet, and you put your AAA number if you want to get the credit. So that brings us to our formal presentation for the evening. Ken Stowe. I met Ken Stowe, what? I don't even remember how many years ago. It was a long time ago. What was that? the Revit launch? Was it that long ago?
I was there.
Huh?
I was there, you
Yeah. We go way back. Ken is has been in the construction industry for over 25 years. Over 25. All right. And he's the Autodesk Director of Construction Business Development in North America. I'm sure his resume is way too long to read out to here, so suffice it to say that he's a great guy, and I think the topic is going to be important to us all and very interesting. So let's give a big round of applause to Ken Stowe.
Well, I hope the microphones are all working here, and I guess I get to go over the learning objectives. Here they are. Is that good enough? It's really about what we're going to be talking about is a workshop that helps you identify where to focus your efforts to get the biggest return on your investment. It's also about an invitation to play a leadership role. So I'd like to tell you a story about how radically different some people's viewpoints of the transformation that we're in. I got on a plane in Boston and sat next to a guy who was from Maine. And we started chatting, and it was fun because we realized we were both in the construction industry. And he said, well, yeah, I was a chief estimator and I retired. And he said, what do you do? Well, I'm working software industry. I'm getting the word out on building information modeling, especially for construction. He says, oh, that BIM shit? That's why I retired. So I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I'm radically excited, even though there are some real superstars in the room with some real credentials, and you've dug deep to explore the value of building information modeling for your company and for your customers, maybe for the fellow stakeholders on your team. But I am radically excited and convinced that there is huge, huge potential. And what I'm going to talk about today is that the fastest way to electrify your company and the people on your team so that they unearth that potential. So this is an invitation. Tonight's presentation is an invitation to play a leadership role in the transformation that's going on in the industry. It's an invitation to look at value in every phase for every stakeholder as you leverage the value of building information modeling. It also proposes that the major forces that are going on in our industry that are transforming the way we work are all about integration. If you look at our contracts, if you look at the way that we work, our workflow, and if you look at the technology that we're trying to shoehorn together, play nicely together. And it's about a workshop that is designed to help you calculate as a team how to get every penny out of every phase for every stakeholder on every project. And the invitation is really to play a leadership role and to consider this workshop when you see it, when you hear about it and the results that we've gotten, to think about either using it on your projects to enlighten your team and to unify your team. Not just to do BIM, but to do BIM for some real purpose. And what you'll find is that the workshop actually helps you land on the major money makers. Now, I think that there's a chance that there are folks in the room that will consider this talk too much about money. And I guess I'll just take that risk. The workshop actually says if you have value, if you deliver value to your customer and to your company, then we ought to be able to put a number on that. Because you're going to be prioritizing people's efforts during the project, and you might as well land on the value propositions that make a real difference to the customer's bottom line and keep your company in business. So I guess I'd like to just ask a question as to just to kind of land on how far along are you and your companies in terms of measuring the financial benefit of the investments that you've made in training and software and hardware and advancing your company. How many have before and after metrics of before BIM and after BIM on similar projects? Two? So it's pretty rare. There's another thing, it's what I've found as I've gone around the country and Canada to deliver this workshop, is I have found, number one, there's not that many people measuring how valuable this is. A lot of people after the workshop say, I had no idea that when we really look at all the different benefits, there are 19 benefits in the workshop that are examined. We look at all of them. They say, I had no idea there were so many. And I had no idea when you just add the incremental dollars and cents benefit, the financial benefit of each individual activity or benefit, that it adds up to such huge numbers. So we'll go over some of the numbers that we've got. So James mentioned just the history that I've had. I'm going to just go over it quickly just in case that you think I'm a lightweight and don't belong up here. So I worked my way through college doing layout and control and construction. That was when I had a three-dimensional hand calculator. And some of you remember the surveying chip in that thing. A lot of work on water and wastewater treatment plants, a hydroelectric project. A quick story about this, I did a three-dimensional sketch for the foreman who ended up almost in tears on Monday when he came back and said his wife washed his jeans over the weekend and he lost it. And could I please, please, please give him another three-dimensional sketch? Another story on this job is we did a three-dimensional, and this was in version 9 of AutoCAD, just a wireframe drawing, put it in front of the owner, and he said, this is the first time I've realized what I'm getting for $7 million. And on the Euro Disney project, another little story. I was there on the Temple of Peril, Disney's first full looping roller coaster, and I did a three-dimensional schedule. It was just a sketch of where we needed to be by the end of a two-week period. And I got a call 6 months after I got back to Los Angeles, and they said, you know, we had 5 languages on the job in Euro Disney, and it was the first schedule that anybody understood because it spoke about dates and objects. And he said that they're still talking about it 6 months later. and some high-tech projects, the aquarium project in Boston. Just finding oodles and oodles of design gotchas that would have really hurt us. And the Museum of Fine Art in Boston. So the first part of the workshop, number one, it's 4 hours long, and I call it pure torture for 2.5 hours. So I really invite you to consider taking the workshop on. But I warn you that it's a work, W, capital W, capital O, capital R, capital K. The first part of the workshop is going over some of the statistics and asking people if they believe any of this can possibly be true. Is it possible that on this study with 32 major projects that BIM was able to eliminate up to 40% of unbudgeted change, 7% reduction in project time? Anybody have issue with these numbers? Like these are too big, too gaudy?
Well, I mean, does it also mean that up to 40%, one project reached 40% and the others were somewhere well beneath that? Or what is the definition of that mean?
I've got this that I can give you read the whole thing, so I invite you to take a look at that.
Do you have the average?
I'd invite you to take a look at the article. A savings of up to 10% of the contract value through clash detections, and up to 7% reduction. So maybe this is gaudy, but there are some other results that are out there. James mentioned the BIMForum. This one's in Washington, and this from Sundt Construction. Dan Russell telling about a project, $113 million project where their calculations indicate that they saved $8.6 million, almost 8.7. And that's available in the archives of the BIMForum. Also from the National Society of Professional Engineers magazine, a lot of you know about Ken Stowe, and the migration will make what they call, no BIM, and then lonely BIM, and then collaborative BIM. The change orders that they tracked on tens or hundreds of millions of dollars of work from 18% to 2.7%. And these are gaudy numbers. Well, the third segment of the workshop I'm going to talk about dives right into, after setting up a budget, dives right into the 19 benefits of BIM. And not only how much can you save, but in what phase do you save them? The second torturous hour is actually who's the beneficiary. Just go back up. So I think what I wanted to do is to think of a benefit that is the most confusing benefit of all, which to me is probably coordination and prefabrication. So if we consider prefabrication as a potential moneymaker using BIM as a technology, can anybody help me just announce all the different ways that investment gives you a return?
Reduce the schedule.
Faster schedule, which benefits whom?
The builder and the owner.
The builder, the owner, the subs, maybe the architect engineer if it's during CA, reduced CA, yeah. Any others? Faster schedule.
Accident prevention, site safety.
A huge reduction in safety, the reduction of injuries, tremendous record in terms of safety, working inside, good ventilation, no wind, no rain, no ice, no cold. Anything else? Yeah.
Few labor hours?
Fewer labor hours. The productivity announced by Ken Stowe at one point, and I don't think this is public, so, but I think that I remember this correctly, 40% savings in labor. When you move 100 hours of work from the field to the shop, you save 40 hours. 40 man hours. Huge reduction in labor. Anything else? Yeah?
Waste.
Material waste? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Material waste. Beautiful. So this is a tremendous, and what about material waste? Who saves in that category? The builder, subcontractor. So if you think about how many benefits, how many resulting benefits come from one investment, the investment in coordination and the confidence that it fosters prefabrication. So that's why this whole thing was built. This whole workshop was built because people were asking me, oh, Ken, you know, would you please help me? I know I want BIM. I know it's going to help me, but my executives are telling me they need to have a financial justification for investing in BIM. What's my ROI? What's my ROI? And then I realized that the only way to calculate your ROI is number one, ask yourself, who's on your team? Are they going to invest with you? Are they going to share models? Are they willing to listen to what you need in the model? Are you going to be able to merge models together? Are you going to carry data all the way to the operations and maintenance phase? Does your owner know how to make money with the end product? So we pound through 19 benefits, and I'll go through a few of these a little bit later. And in the last segment, we take a look at the costs. Of course, maybe that's like a salesman. You think of all the benefits first, and then you talk about cost. But the costs do look amazingly small all the time. And 24 of these so far, the costs have never come to within 25% of the benefits on one project. And if you take a look at, I think Dan Russell's presentation at the BIMForum has got some costs on it, the average costs for projects and a study that was done. But they're all under 1% of the total cost of the project. And you'll see the results of what we're getting here. The results that come out by phase, universally, the benefits stack up in construction. And maybe that's obvious to all of you, but it's awakening. It's really awakening for some people that have been through the workshop. And if you take a look at on the far right during the operations and maintenance phase, that bar is getting taller and taller and taller every month that this workshop goes out and performs. And what I hand that to is the owners are getting more and more savvy, but also the teams are getting more and more savvy as to just how much money is wasted if we let that data and the potential for the data and the geometry and accuracy slip away from us, so that we turn over old-fashioned, as-built materials. The second torturous hour is about assigning who is the beneficiary. With every single benefit, I asked the participants to divide up who's the beneficiary. If we save a month on a 20-month project, Okay, does the owner benefit? And so one of the things that's complex about somebody asking me, what's my return on investment, what's my owner's return, is how valuable is that month to you? So if it's Intel and they're creating a fabrication facility in Phoenix, it may be worth $1 million a day. If it's a university who just has to get done by August and expect to get done in June, it may be negligible. The owner is always, in 24 projects, has always been the largest beneficiary. And so this encourages me to invite you to play a leadership role, because some of your owners really care about quality. They all do. They all care about schedule. They all care about public image. They all care about life cycle performance. But this is about how much money is able to be saved over the old-fashioned way of working. The subs and the general contractor, the CM, almost always divide 40% or so. And sadly, for a lot of people in the room, the AE is the smallest beneficiary in terms of benefits.
Okay. Back to that chart, you don't have to go back to it, but the operations, are you going to talk in more detail about that particular one? Because that interests me most, I think. Because you always hear about, better performing buildings based on BIM, it's just that number should be off the charts. You're talking about an owner that is managing their facility over many years. So I don't know if you're going to get into the details of that later. I'll leave it. We'll come back to it later.
Yeah, it's a good suggestion to have somebody who's an expert, more expert than I am. I do have some slides on that, but I think my anecdotal stuff is not really nearly as good as what we probably should dig up for this group.
Okay.
So also in the final fourth segment, there's a hard look at where the savings come from. This is a good graphic to get the team fired up. Where's the big money? If you put your hearts together, if you put your workflow unified with a common motivation to generate a return on the investment that you've made in the technology and the teamwork that you put together, this is the whole team benefit. And fewer and earlier changes, whether they're owner or owner-directed or design change orders, this is very, very often the big number. Very often the big number with retail, often the big number with university. Healthcare, there was one customer that was doing a $2.7 billion healthcare program, and they told us that they had never, in 15 years, had never turned a project in within the contingency that they had set up. So this, sorry?
Shame on them.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, oh, they're embarrassed, and they just didn't know what to do about it. $2.7 billion coming up. So the return on investment for each individual company, each individual stakeholder is generated by the workshop. So there's a separate worksheet that describes the savings to the owner, one for the GC or CM, one for the subs, and one for the AE. So of each of the 19 benefits, there are 19 numbers represented in this pie. Some are zero, and some are in the tens of or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So here's some of the results that we've had. It was a GSA office building, kind of a multi-use thing that was upgrade, sustainability and energy upgrade. That team put together, it was a $142 million project, and their benefit, net benefit, came out $6 million. This is after about, I think $750,000 is what they allocated to the team to get the team all up to speed and all working and generating the BIM over and above the cost of doing a project without BIM. $6 million savings. And on that one, the owner was the very, very large beneficiary. The contractor came in thinking that he was really quite BIM savvy and left saying, I had no idea there were so many benefits of BIM. And this is, I think, when I was talking about all the transformation has something to do with integration. What that builder was suffering from, and a lot of builders are still suffering from it, they just don't know what other people do. They don't know what BIM does for them. They just know kind of like the deliverable. And it's vice versa. A lot of designers have no idea what goes into an estimate and how much drudgery is associated with model quantity takeoff. So the Office of General Services came up with a $2.3 million savings. I'm going to go to that university classroom workbook. Let me see if I can do this and not be embarrassing myself. Okay. So just stepping through the way that this thing went, we set up a $30 million project, just roughly dividing the numbers up by percentage so that we generated a number for each one of these categories. So then if we have a voter, somebody was saying material, it's savings of materials, we can just say, do you think it's going to save 1% of material, 2%? So these are reference numbers. And that gives you a reference pie. The benefits are then looked at one by one. What is the old traditional way of working? What is the new process look and feel like? Sorry, I skipped a spot here. Also, the ground rules for the project. This is a $30 million total project cost. The construction manager at-risk contract with pre-construction services, a 24-month baseline duration. All the team members using BIM. So this is what I call all-in BIM. No stakeholder gets left out, even if they're just running a freebie of Navisworks Freedom or a free viewer. Rules of the game are shared model. Shared model during pre-construction, enhanced with specialty contractors, used for coordination, clash, and taken to the field. Prefab, pre-assembly. Oops. And the finalized model to the owner for operations and maintenance. So those were the guidelines, and this is what the team put together. And you'll notice there's actually some negative numbers. So that's a negative benefit, okay? That's a cost. This is the participants. I introduce a benefit. They tell me what is the cost or the gain of that benefit. There are some numbers that are zero, some numbers that are costs instead of positive benefits. A lot of times you'll see that there's a cost during the first part of design and then a benefit in the latter part of design. Of course, you've experienced that yourself, but you may not have thought about how much money are we talking about in each phase. And that's what's torturous about it. Probably a lot of people in this room haven't done that much translation of a benefit or, from the qualitative to the quantitative. So filling this all out took about an hour. The total savings before we calculated cost was $1.8 million. By phase, construction, the big winner. The construction phase is generating the big cost savings. And of course, this one was very small, the operations and maintenance benefit, but that's what they were seeing. The second part of the effort is take the number that you generated from the first worksheet, bring it across, and in that case it's the design productivity with parametrically coordinated documents, a value of 75,000, and divide it up into who's the beneficiary. So each benefit gets divided up. When you're done, there's the pie of benefits, the owner with the astronomical portion of the proceeds. Let's talk about distortion. So as I generate this workshop around the country, I find that some folks are distorting the inputs. So if there's a project team, and that's the case with the GSA project, the architect, the engineers, design assist sub was there, contractor, cost estimator. Well, the cost estimator wanted to make sure that the owner was in the room and that the owner was going to be the beneficiary of all these benefits. So there is sometimes distortion in the room, and what I make a plea in the beginning, be honest with who gets the benefit according to the contract type that's going to be used on the project. And then finally, the costs. This is the total cost when you add up all the software and hardware for the whole team, collaboration, training. All of that came out to be $320,000 for a net of $1.4 million. The owner is the biggest beneficiary. This is their pie. Change orders. The experience of this owner was that they were dying. They were convinced that change orders could go down. They were budgeting contingency for change orders again and again, but they were convinced that the change orders would go down. The general contractor, big benefit of 3D and 4D visualization with logistics and sequencing. Fewer change orders, fewer RFIs. Quick visualization for the GC and the subs, fewer design change orders. There's one pie for the subs. One of the contractors told me, I can't wait to show this to my subcontractors because we're demanding that they transform their workflow to BIM. We demand from them and the three-dimensional submissions now, and I have to explain why it's going to be beneficial to them.
How are these costs beneficial to the subcontractors? It looks like a couple of these are actually, you're eliminating profit centers for the subcontractors. The design change orders,
Well, I invite you to read that article on Ken Stowe. I'll tell you what I think is going on. I think that many people in the room, many people in the industry think that subcontractors are really excited about change orders, and that's where they make their profits. And certainly I've been on projects where that's the case. But I've also been on a lot of projects when it's a pain in the backside to get change orders, and you never get back enough to pay for the hassle. Your management team is just chasing change orders, RFIs, answers, pricing change orders, getting them approved and fighting over them, so your management is working at 50% and you're getting delayed again and again. You can't get your money back. And if you try to, you ruin your relationship with everybody else, the other stakeholders. So that's my personal thought. But keep in mind, I'm not telling you what the numbers that I put in here. I facilitate this workshop, and I refuse to put a number in myself. What the team does is elect a moderator or a consensus taker. We introduce a benefit. Everybody talks about it. I think the benefit's $120,000. Half of that's going to the owner, and the other half is split 3 ways. So it's not my number. This is an owner in Florida. Well, okay. The smallest number that we got was 1.8%. That was a large supermarket chain. And the feeling was there that they were kind of big box stores, and so BIM wasn't going to have, there was going to be no energy benefit. There wasn't a lot of clash problems in the classic store. There's plenty of room for the mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems. Okay, let's move on. Just some of the quotes that come from the end of the workshop. The one I like the best is, I had no idea there were so many benefits to BIM. But a lot of times, if you've got skeptics, how many of you really have like a regular struggle with skeptics in your office that haven't really embraced the whole idea? Few. Just
Rephrase that.
how many people in the room work with people in your company, in your office, that are BIM skeptics and kind of resisting change? If you have them, we can win them. And that's been my experience in this, that we change their minds. We talk about money. It's not. It has tangible value. We've also had people in the room that kind of refuse to kind of the new workflow, and they would say, "Well, on our project, we're not going to share the model." And as the owner began to see how much money was riding on this, the owner said, "You don't have to share the model, but also I don't have to hire you." So the leadership role that I'm inviting you to consider has to do with integrating, fusing 4 big new opportunities. You know about the Lean Construction Institute. I invite you to take a look at those Lean principles. But if you take a look at that, if you embrace Lean principles, you have to integrate your team. If you embrace BIM, you have to integrate your models and you have to share them. And if you embrace the new contract incentives, like new contract languages, That's really about integrating the motivation so that you have common motivation across the stakeholders. And so the fourth one is motivating the people. These four big new opportunities, it may not seem new to you, but I think the science of integrating them is absolutely young. In order to deliver enduring value. And so the leadership role that I'm inviting you to provide integrates these four major elements, disruptive elements that form this transformation. They're all about integration, and the fastest way to spark the transformation, get it into a new gear in your company, on your projects, is with this workshop. The way that we have been thinking about the humans that need to transform themselves, there's a big range. On the very far left, in terms of BIM capability, they have zero BIM capability, but they'd actually rather retire than move to the right here. So that's like the guy in Maine. There's enough of them. I wouldn't switch places with them because I think it's a dangerous thing to resist this transformation. And on the far right, if you do put together a program for your project or for your company, you can be thinking about a specialized motivation or topics for their training. Likely on the very far edge, you've got your leading edge thinkers. There's probably some real leading edge thinkers here. You probably have already thought about turnover BIM, modularization, on the lean construction topic. There's a great document that's 211 pages long. It's by a guy who I consider a real genius, Lauri Koskela. He's a professor in the UK, and he's done a really comprehensive research on where the waste is. So associated with becoming a leader and identifying where the big money savings are is trained with the background knowledge of where the waste is in the current process. The lean construction, great quote on the kind of young Wikipedia article. BIM is necessary to enable lean construction ideals, but it's not sufficient. And this is the position that I take. BIM is a great technology, and to leverage it, you need to have some principles about the way that you're going to work. There's another great article on where the waste is, measuring the impact of rework on construction cost performance, often tallied at 5% of the total construction costs. If you take a look at that article and the graphic that they give on what are the causes of rework, these general categories. I don't know if I can zoom in here. I don't think you can see that. See. So if you take a look at these categories in leadership, human resource capability, engineering and review, construction planning, material and equipment, almost all of these, that all the ones that are circled, are addressable by BIM. Not like BIM completely solves them. But if you read this and you do your own circles, so this is a guide on how to leverage BIM so it eliminates waste. And of course you've either worked in some new contract types, or you have prepared yourselves for them. You've also maybe feared, maybe you've embraced the designed in, when BIM is designed into the contracts that you signed, and increasingly you're seeing some kind of a probably vague description of, you will create a model for us, the owner, and it will be functioning for the use of that model for operations and maintenance.
Are they providing standards for their maintenance and operations models then, so that the architects involved and the engineers can follow those standards?
So for the folks on the webcast, are they, is the owner giving a clear template for the way that the data is going to come across? I think I'm not seeing that very often. I think it's the unusual owner who not only understands that they should have a model at the end, but actually knows how to define it. Now,
Probably say 1 in 10 projects that we've seen where we actually comprehensive guides.
so James is saying 1 in 10 is giving clear guidelines in terms of what the deliverable is going to look like. Robert?
Similar, the only client or agency that's giving out any guidelines, maybe too much, is Veterans Administration.
VA?
Yeah, VA. Very deep, detailed. On the designer, somewhat difficult to comply with. There's a lot of extra stuff in there, which I'm not sure they're getting the benefit out of, but they're asking for a lot. Hopefully they're using it.
So Robert's comment is that the VA is asking for a lot. If you're as old as I am, you may remember when they first started asking for critical path method schedules. So they went from asking for like a simple bar chart to asking for, on one hospital project that we worked on, 20,000 activities, minimum. Here are just some resources that I'm encouraging people to consider when they take a look at what the owner might want to ask. And the leadership role that I'm inviting you to play does not wait for the owner to define what they want. You go proactively to the owner with something like this document here, the United Facilities Guide Specification. Delivers is a, I don't know if it's 30 or 40 pages long, but it defines these, I think there's 12 or 13 different categories, data elements. They're data categories. And it gets quite specific about each one. But this list is what I would be going to the owner with if I were in your shoes and I knew that I was BIM savvy. My company wants to work for this owner. This owner needs a little bit of coaching. It is a new science, for goodness sakes, and you can help them, and this is a resource. There are other resources that are out there. The VA is one. The GSA is has just come out with a kind of a BIM for FM document. So they are coming out. This is one that I think is got some real meat behind it, because this is a joint effort of several U.S. federal government agencies. Of course, I think a lot of you know about Kobe. Nobody likes me when I say I think it's a Cadillac, but it's a very, very robust, mature data structure, and it seems like it's really catching hold. Has anybody done a project and delivered Kobe? You love it? Hate it? It's good. I'm sorry?
Reassuring.
It's reassuring. So, no, I like that, actually. Yeah, what I would say is there's only one thing worse than a Cadillac data structure, and that's no data structure. I won't go over this level of detail thing. On the technology side, the workshop drills a little bit through some of the benefits and gets tangible about them. There's a slide for each one. I won't go through each one. A lot of the dollars and cents, and I don't know if it's news to anybody here, the dollars get returned to the project during construction. A little bit of time, a little bit of material, a little bit of labor productivity gains, a little bit safer, finishing a little bit earlier. I really like schedule. I'll show you just some of these slides also have an accompanying video. They should have an accompanying video. If you could. So this is a video that is generated actually kind of half in Inventor and half in Revit. But Inventor Publisher allows you to take intelligent data and create intelligent videos. This is going too fast to really read everything. You can stop everything. Oops. If you're not spaz. So here's my suggestion. If we take a look at the model and we think of it as kind of the static thing, if we combine it with time, if we combine it with safety, if we combine it, in this case, with quality, so these specifications on how to achieve this is a world-class mock-up. It's a mock-up of how one of the most critical, risky places in terms of warranty and callbacks. And so just the way that you would do it if you are a scheduler and you identify the critical path on your project. These are critical warranty risks where life cycle performance is at risk in certain categories, so it deserves extra focus. So I won't go on and on about that. I'll just say I think that there is some real money untapped as we look at quality and virtual mock-up, especially with the tablet, the ability to take out little videos and little illustrations. How many are taking BIM all the way to the field? Worked out all right, Robert?
Yeah, they're the last few months they've been doing it on their tablets.
Are you getting real value from it, or is it just sort of a novelty at this point?
It's interesting. Between the field architects and the contractors working with it, they're all talking about it. They're really excited about it. I've never seen any group of people in a particular project that excited about trying to solve problems and realize its benefit to it.
So would you say we're at 10% of what it's going to do, or?
Oh, yeah, percentage, just scratching the surface now. I think there's some real
Scratching the surface.
Yeah, money to be made there. Make it more efficient.
So this is the feeling, this little story is the feeling that I get over and over again when I bring these capabilities. And also remembering that when we first started the workshop, we talked about a $30 million project. We talked about the $1.5 million of contingency. We talked about how much it costs to be on a project for each month, the carrying costs of each month, logistics and safety, quantities. How many of you are using free viewers? free viewers. This is a viewer, just design review. You can click on a object, ask its properties, its area, its volume. How many of you are taking advantage of this and encouraging the stakeholders on your projects to take advantage of free viewers of your output from your model? So do you want to tell a story, ma'am?
Basically, I do the marketing and other things at work, and then the other folks in the team, they use free viewers to verify.
So there's a lot of people that have a free viewer.
Yeah, everybody else in the team has a free viewer, so they open the market, just quantify it, and at the end of the day, they go back, check whatever is happening, so they check the time.
So it's good to have this input. They give you valuable input back. Anybody else? Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I was introducing Teams, didn't get any real traction with them, and I just kind of dropped it. But I've noticed lately Teams using it, and they're doing this. They realize they can actually see the data and the areas and the volumes and the parts, the levels of the components. Where the teams had basically been using PDFs and 3D PDFs, but they can't see all that data. So just on their own, they kind of realize the data within the model is important. They can share it and find the information more easily with this type of viewer.
So what I like to do with estimators, this is the product that I like to use with estimators. Oh,
That was a question, I think, a response to the
here's the comment, okay, from the webinar audience. I'm a subcontractor, and I agree that change orders are not what my company banks on to make money. We want in and out with no change orders. So thank you for that, Rick DiFilippi.
What's this trade?
Rick, if you want to put your trade in there, we're grateful.
It says subcontract.
Yeah, well, we just don't know what kind. So I'd like to give this one to estimators, and I think we are quite often challenged with if you can do something 10 times as fast or 100 times as fast, I might buy it. But I like to just show them, okay, there's 99 floors on this thing. Let's hide everything but the floors. We'll just take a look at one floor at a time. We'll get the area, and all right, we'll just you do yours on where's my properties? How do I get that out of the way there? Let's see. There I go.
You can close that back. Okay.
You got my area on that one, and hide it. Get my area on that one, 926, and hide it. The area on that one, 28,891, and hide it. So I can easily do this 100 times as fast as somebody can do a quantity takeoff using a digitizer wheel or he's a food service equipment supplier. Thank you, Rick. So just a cool idea. So in pre-construction, if somebody's quantitative, I like to just show them design review. It's free. You can download it right off the internet. So that's just a structural. I also, if they're in the field, I just get them a copy of Navisworks Freedom and just fly around the project. Just put the feet on and just get used to turning around and put the feet on, walk around the project, and have them. I tell them, have your kids show you how to do it. They'll figure it out. And I only tell them I only touch 3 things. First of all, it's a read-only file anyway, so you can't have. You got to be able to just zoom, walk around, and pan. So don't try to do anything else. Just have fun with it. But I think what's happening is a little bit of we're at a turning point where I think people, the people that were going to retire have retired. The people that were really afraid of this thing, and I think you can generate some interest. And one of the things that I'm saying to play a leadership role, you're a matchmaker. You don't have to be the hero in your company, but there's a bunch of skeptics that need you. And there's a bunch of young whippersnappers that are 30-something, 20-somethings, fast, fearless, learn things in 2 weeks that take us 2 months, and they need some wisdom. So marry the people with wisdom with the people that are fearless, and it's a great way to have fun. And I think that the notion of being with an indestructible file, with a free viewer that gives you quantities and the ability to fly around. You know, get that Boston file. You know, you can either walk around or fly around. And if you fly around, of course, it's pretty fast. But anyway, I invite you to bring them in. Bring them in and give them some models and have fun. I even am inviting people to get the CEO on board and have the CEO put up a couple of $100 bills and hide them in the facility. Give a little treasure hunt, a digital treasure hunt. On one of the chalkboards is the instructions on how to win $100. So I won't go over every one of these things. In addition to just good input during the pre-construction process, and mock-ups, we're also seeing some very classy work in the way of lift drawings, three-dimensional drawings that just go beyond anything we've seen in my old days. BIM on the job site, new kiosks out there. Now we're getting now toward the end of the project where there's some very sophisticated stuff going on. I'd like to hop out to let me see if I can hop out to Ken Stowe one more time. So these are the guys that are proud. They're bragging about the fact that they took change orders from 18% in the old days to 11 with Lonely BIM, and to less than to about 3% compared to 18%. So this is Mass General in Boston. A lot of prefabrication, 400 truckloads. All that orange steel is the stuff that the interstitial steel that they designed just to hold up their equipment. Doing layout and control with the hangars, with much more efficiency and accuracy. To have this stuff come in pre-assembled and shipped. Very sophisticated company. I'd like to see if this plays. So they turn over an as-built model. You can see the pointer on the chiller, and I don't know if you can see the data there. Let me just stop this baby. Yep. Oh. But they've designed this little panel that pops up in the software. So when you click on an object, you can get submittal data, operations and maintenance data, startup and commissioning reports, balancing data. It looks like that one's grayed out. Automatic temperature control data, and a maintenance task log. Now this is, I don't know how far along this has come, but I think that this is one of the most sophisticated proposals in the form of a website that's out there. Is anybody turning over rich models with this kind of integrated interface? Oh yeah. So I congratulate these guys, and if you get a chance to visit them in Boston, they're actually up in, near Andover. Their fab shop is in Andover. They had to increase the size of their fab shop by 50% because they're doing so much prefab now. So there's a lot of money in this. Their labor gets, for every 100 hours they take out of the field, they save 40 hours and eliminate change orders, which is not what they want, and they produce a rich as-built model. To me, this is a way to get selected, and it's a way to reduce your own costs. It's a way to get selected by the builder and to be the preferred supplier. And a lot of these guys are moving into the facilities maintenance services. They deliver a rich as-built model. They know the equipment inside and out. How about if they maintain it? Anybody moving into facility services here? No. And I think you've got other people that are much more knowledgeable about energy, carbon, daylight, photovoltaics than I am, but that's one of the topics. Site work is one of the topics, even though for a lot of the interviews or the workshops that I put on, it's not a big deal. The efficiency associated with data capture and survey, comparing the actual condition to the design condition. Augmented reality. You doing any augmented reality, James?
No, not yet. We're researching.
Well, I won't go through every one of the benefits. I will summarize by saying if you want to maximize your own benefit, your own return on your investment in BIM, you will not only think about your internal needs, but you'll actually produce for the whole team, and what will come back to you is a spectacular increase in how much you can get, how much return that you can get on your investment. And the leadership role that I'm inviting you to play is desperately needed, I think, by a lot of owners. They need your guidance. I know that Autodesk would like to partner with you. I think the resellers that are represented here would like to partner with you. Those sophisticated owners hold the key to a huge potential for efficiency in our industry. So with that, I'll open it up to questions from the webinar and from the floor, or comments, stories. You have to come up here.
See, there's one. I'll click that bottom icon on the GoToWebinar.
Out of 60 projects, I guess adding up to $12 million during 2011, we had one change order valued at $5,000. Thank you so much. Oh, I got to read this. Awesome presentation. Okay. Thank you, Adam.
What is that? What is that? You know, anybody can call you over and make a statement like that. You tie a little bit more to the industry. I have a very serious question.
Yes, okay.
Who do you give this presentation to?
Who's in the workshop typically?
Yeah.
Good question. I've done it with 8 vice presidents of a major construction company that they wanted to know how do you justify this. We have an inkling that
What's their volume per year?
$2 billion. Okay, so that was one. One was a $142 million project in Portland. One was a $30 million project. The whole project team is there: design, construct. Another one was an assembly of just owners. Another one was just one retail owner. Another one was like a BIM core team in one company. The BIM core team wanted to really get unified in order to present. Does that give you a picture? That's sort of like the range of who's in the room. Really does move around a little bit. The ones that we're going to be doing in Phoenix will be kind of a group of common owners. A few universities will be in the room, and their favorite designers and construction companies.
And do you contact them or they contact you?
Let's see. Oh, I should show you Sarah Architects.
What you're doing is very important. I've done this for 26 years. Okay?
Let me show you. Well, Sarah Architects invited me one day. They knew that they had invested in BIM on their project, and they had a real sense that the project team is going to waste all kinds of potential. The project team had this model. They were using it for 3 or 4 visualization and better documents. They weren't using it for quantities. They weren't taking it downstream. And so they wanted to electrify the team and get the owner to back them up, and owner understand the bigger picture. It's about understanding like all 9 teams. So Sarah Architects had done some of their own metrics, and they invited me in to present to the whole team, got that result. Sometimes it's kind of like the BIM champion in a construction company or an architectural firm, and they want their executives to just understand the big picture. They may sense that their own credibility is questioned because little old Johnny's only 32 years old, and he's screaming, for us to invest in BIM. Like, he's so sure it's going to make us money, and can we trust this little snot? So a lot of the time, it's a BIM champion, it might be 30 or 40 or 50, but it's to bring people around. And a lot of times it's to enlighten owners. So it's a contractor or a designer that says, please, this owner just doesn't understand how big this is, how much of a transformation. And they say stuff like, well, we shouldn't have had any change orders anyway. Well, okay. The point is you didn't ask for BIM. We're giving you BIM, and it's reducing change orders, and we want to enlighten you as to what we are bringing you, the value, the real value of what we're bringing. What's different and what's tangibly different.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. The follow-up question on this is, what is the transformation time you're estimating in terms of metrics of this actually taking place?
What is the transformation time?
Any organization that does $100 million worth of construction a year, what would you estimate their transformation time is to actually get the benefits that we're projecting?
Okay. Are they started? How much time does it take to move them from they're in 2D now, doing 2D CAD coordination now in 2D, and no 3D. Is that where we're starting? Yeah.
Was that assuming that the cost that's being assumed in the workshop is the cost of the training and the buying the software, and you're doing it on this project, and you're doing it
It has
right?
to roll out. It's not because
Yeah.
I say it or you say it or Jim James says it. It's because the industry is adjusting to it. And the people who are initiated to it need to have a realistic
Okay.
appraisal of what they're getting involved in. That's the biggest problem that we've found, is that the fear factor is not people want to retire. It's that they want to get a paycheck at the end of the week.
Yes.
They want to understand what this is going to do in terms of their
Okay.
programming.
Well, let me address the
For
question.
a 5-year period of time.
Let me just address the question. I think everybody's got it here, and I'm just going to say it back for the people on the webinar. The question is, how long does this take? You know, starting from scratch, we're in 2D, we're using paper all the time. Nobody's using 3D, nobody's using coordination, nobody's doing much in the way of prefabrication, and we really have a lot to change. So let's say you're handing me this assignment, and I've got the CEO and the executive behind me. We've got the money, and we joined Lean Construction Institute because we needed a set of principles to embrace BIM. We used the workshop to actually think about all the benefits of BIM. What are the ones we're going to go after first? We probably do it in 3 phases. Each one takes about 1.5 years. And what do we do in the first phase? The low-hanging fruit. We got to get the basics in. We hunt for a way to get a quick return on investment and win the confidence of all those skeptics that are in the company. We win them over, and as soon as we begin to master those targets in phase 1, those are the pieces of the pie that are the biggest. Another little bit more evaluation could go in. Okay, they're big pieces of pie, but are they low-hanging? Do we like big fruit, low-hanging, right? But you use the workshop to identify where the money is. And who, of all the projects that you could pick, you know, do the workshop on 3 different projects and identify where's the most resistance. So get some projects that win and deliver you the low-hanging fruit and get to phase 2. And that's what I would do. You know, you'd be making millions of dollars different in phase 1, and people will love you. And that's what, you know, I think we've got some strong technology people in the room. We've got some natural leaders in the room, and you need to get some support. You need the money to do stuff. You need the cooperation. Other questions? Okay, I thank you very much for your attention and on the webinar. And James, it's a cool group you got here, and I wish you luck.
That's good. All right, thank you for sticking around, everybody. Just a quick couple of notes before you head out. If you have topic suggestions, ideas that you'd want, whether you want to present or you just feel like these are things that are bugging me on a constant basis, and it would be really great if you had a class or some kind of presentation about it. You can go to the meetup site and request a topic. Put in like an idea. So I encourage you all to do that. No idea is a bad idea. The more ideas we have, the better this group can be. So please feel free to do that. Whether it's in the message boards or on, I think there's a thing where you can just kind of just add a suggested topic right at the main page. So thank you all, and we'll see you in April. Thanks again.